welcome to Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. My name is Teresa. I'd like to welcome you into the kitchen where I'm getting prepared to start the long, tedious process of making homemade chicken and dressing. Now, when I make it, it takes several days to make it because I like to make my cornbread the day before or the day before that, because I like it to set up. Well, this time I'm making it the day before in the morning. That way it can set up, get a little stale, and the crumb will be a whole lot better to make cornbread dressing. Now, as usual, I will have the single cornbread recipe in the description box below. I am making a triple batch this morning because we're going to eat a lot of chicken and dressing because I have been craving it for weeks and I've had enough. It's time to make it. So let's get busy on our cornbread. And this is going to be a multiple part video. The parts will be in the same video, but it's going to be a lot of different parts because this is a labor of love. It's southern. It's going to take a while. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm making a triple batch of cornbread. I'm not cooking it in cast iron this time because I'm going to use the same pan that I cooked my cornbread in to put the dressing back into. Alright. I have 4 1/4 cups of cornmeal, not cornmeal mix, not that nasty jiffy crap, real Aunt Jemima cornmeal. Alright, and I'm going to add 2 1/4 cups of flour, and I'm going to whisk that up real good. Okay, no, I didn't get it out. I want to add, now I'm not going to season it a whole lot because I want to save it for when I mix up the dressing. But I want some seasoning in the cornbread. That's black pepper, and what did I do? There it is. I'm going to need 3 teaspoons of salt. Don't have a heart attack, it's a triple batch. And I'm going to refrain from adding garlic because I want to add all the garlic into the mixture with the cornbread. Alright, give me a minute. I got to go get my baking powder. Okay, found it because I thought I had it up here already. And I want 12 teaspoons of baking powder. Well, that baking powder took a hit. Like I said, always make sure it gets mixed in really good. Okay, it's time for the wet ingredients. And I want 6 large eggs. Whoops. myself, that's right. Yep, y'all can see. Now there's an actual large egg. And I pre-beat mine. Oh, I forgot to mention, I have my oven preheated at 400 degrees. So it is definitely screaming hot. And 3/4 of a cup of melted butter. Oh, I need that back here. Because I don't want to use no oil or no nasty vegetable oil or nothing like that. Because it's all soybean anymore. And I'm going to need 3 3 3/4 cups of milk. And like I said, don't have a heart attack. It's a triple batch. Put the milk up. And might as well put the eggs up while I'm at it. Alright, now I'm going to get busy of whisking this all together. If you notice, this is real cornbread. I don't add no sugar in my cornbread. That's just nasty, in my opinion. You want to make sure you whisk it very well. Make sure there's no lumps. Make sure you scrape that bottom real good. Now I'm going to let it sit for a little bit. Let it rise just a little bit, and then I'm going to whisk it again and then put it in the pan and in the oven. I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. Okay, it's set for a little while. That way baking powder gets activated. Now, I have my pan. I have a cookie sheet under my pan because they don't make these aluminum pans like they used to. I want all my cornbread mix or batter out of the bowl this time. There we go. I'm going to have to remember my spatula next time I come over and cook. Now, my oven is heated to 450. A single batch of cornbread takes about 30 minutes. This might take a little bit longer. But just keep an eye on it. I'll let you know exactly how long it takes to cook once it's done. And I want it centered in the oven. I got it set for 30 minutes. And while that's baking, I'm going to get started on the chicken stock and cooking the chicken for the dressing. I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. Okay, I have my chicken breast washed. Yes, I'm an adult now. I get to eat the breast. So, I use large chicken breast with bone in and skin, because I'm also building chicken stock, because the stock's also going to be used in making of the chicken and dressing. I have 2 onions. No, I did not take the peels off because it adds more flavor and it's going to be strained anyway. That's some baby carrots. Trim the ends off the celery. Make sure I grab the right ones. Move. Now I warn you, I make kitchen sink chicken and dressing. Everything you see going in this pot is going to be going in to the dressing. I cut up thinly sliced carrots. I cut up celery. This is minced garlic. I put onions in my dressing, celery, carrots, mushrooms. When we eat my chicken and dressing, we don't have to have anything else to go with it because there's veggies and everything in it. Now, I will be doing, did get a request to do garlic cream potatoes, so that'll be the side with the chicken and dressing, and I will reserve some of the stock back so that I can make homemade gravy. Now, I'm going to let this come up to a boil, and I'm going to let it cook until the chicken is done and the stock looks beautiful. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on my cornbread in the oven. And I'll bring you back once the stock is done and ready to strain later on today. I'll see you later on. Got to mention, gotta season this a little bit. So I added some Slap Your Mama. Not much, just a little bit. I've added some black pepper. I'm going to add just a little bit of oregano. It makes the dressing taste really good. And I want parsley a little bit. Because when I saute my vegetables up, I'll be adding more seasoning. Now, I do not add any, I like to use rubbed sage, and I won't add that until I'm mixing up my dressing to make sure that it's not overpowering. I want to taste it, but I want to taste everything else as well. Alright, now I'll bring you back later when it's time to strain the stock. Okay, the cornbread is done, and she turned out beautiful. Look at that big old pan of cornbread. I'm going to move it. Now the oven's cooled off completely, and I'm going to cover it up here in just a bit if I don't break the oven. Now what I want to do, I'm going to strain my beautiful chicken stock. Look at that. Something to be proud of there. Getting a measuring cup. Give me just a minute. First, I'm going to try to scoop out all the chicken. Because I've let it cool down so I don't burn myself up. You know what I'm going to do? Set this back here. Now it is falling apart, so when I strain out the chicken, or the chicken stock, I'll be able to get all the pieces of chicken that fell apart. Because they have fell apart. Look at that. That's what you want. You want your chicken as tender as possible, fully cooked. See, there's a big old chunk of meat there. Bits and pieces of chicken breast all over the place. completely fell apart. And I'm not straining the fat off of it, because that's, when you do that, you lose your flavor. And once I get this all strained out, it has had quite a bit of time to cool down. It's safe to put it up in the refrigerator. Now let's see if we can do this gracefully. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. That should be plenty enough for the dressing and also to make some gravy. Now, for those who've never done this before, your cooked celery, your carrots that was in the stock, don't throw them away. Eat those babies. Because they have plenty of flavor. And as usual, waste not, want not. I'm going to get my chicken cooling down a little bit more. I'm going to get my stock cooled down some more. And then I'm going to stick them in the fridge and let them completely cool. I'm going to enjoy me some cooked carrots and celery here, because I'm going to put it fresh in my dressing. And I will bring you back tomorrow morning when I get ready to start making the dressing. Well, doing the vegetables, getting everything ready, and mixing up the dressing. Simple, easy, but it's just time consuming because I like to make sure it's done right. Y'all take care. I'll see you in the morning. Okay, welcome back. It's the next morning, and I got to get busy. I've got to wash and slice up my baby carrots, wash and cut up my celery, dice up my mushrooms some more, and there might be a third onion involved because these are two of the smallest onions. But in my pan, I'm ready to go. I've got 2 sticks of butter. Yes, I'm from the South. We use a lot of butter. And I have 2 healthy tablespoons of minced garlic ready to go. I've got my beautiful, look at that. Now that, well, you can't really see, but that's some beautiful chicken stock. That's going to be added to the pan. And of course, to get through it all, I've got my big cup of coffee. Once I get everything chopped and diced, I'm going to put it in my pan. Now, I'm going to mince, well not mince, but small dice my onions. I'm going to slice the carrots. I'm going to cut the celery sticks in half and slice them up. And I'm just going to do a rough chop on the mushrooms to make them a little smaller. And then I'm going to put them in my pan, and I'll bring you back as soon as I get this all done. See you here in a bit. Okay, I finally have the little rocks cut up. Those were some of the hardest carrots I have ever cut up. And I have my butter melted, and I'm going to saute these for a little while. Because these hard little things are going to need it. I have my celery cut up, I have my onions cut up. And I decided I'm just going to break my mushrooms into the pan after a while. Move this over here. Add a little bit of my chicken stock in. Add a little bit of pepper. And I'm going to grab my oregano. Don't want much, but just want just a little bit. Well, that has disappeared, so I'll use mine. Sorry about Jaina in the background. She's just wild today. And this is dried parsley. I always like to add a lot of parsley because it helps with digestion. I'm sorry, no, I rarely ever measure. Unless I'm making bread or cakes or cookies or stuff like that. I've been making my chicken and dressing for so long, it's just second nature for me. Add a little more chicken stock. All that good flavor in there. It's really important when making chicken and dressing that you use chicken that has the bones in and the skin. Or you gonna, if you use just straight breast, you can use straight breast, but that stock, chicken stock, is gonna be pretty much almost fat-free. And when making chicken and dressing, you really don't want it completely fat-free. I'm going to let this cook for a little while till they start kind of getting a little tender, because I want to make sure these little rocks are cooked. I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. Okay, the little rocks, also known as sliced carrots, are softened up but not completely. I'm going to go in and add my celery and my onions. Definitely going to add some more chicken stock. I just have to make sure I save enough to make some gravy, which I'll show you how to make the gravy as well. I got to make sure I have enough chicken stock in here to also, because I don't like dry chicken and dressing. I want to make sure there's plenty enough liquid in here to moisten the cornbread. I don't want it soggy, but I don't want it dry. Well, don't want it too liquidy. Let's put it like that. You put too much liquid in there, then it's just a mess. Go and get my mushrooms in there. And you have to watch mushrooms. In the beginning, they'll soak up all the liquid, but as they cook, they'll release it back out. And yes, like I said, I make kitchen sink chicken and dressing. And by the time I get done, you don't need any sides. Oh, and another thing, I don't use any raw eggs in my dressing either. That's just too much of a chance to get salmonella if you don't cook it all the way. That's just like my giblet gravy. I don't want no sliced boiled eggs in it. Which I should have got some gizzards and made some giblet gravy, but I wasn't thinking about that. Well, crap. It's too late to worry about it now. Hopefully we'll be getting a turkey. Depends on how those prices are. And I'll make some giblet gravy from that. Okay. Oh, and I was going to say, when you're doing your celery and your onions and stuff, you can save the skin and ends from the onions and the ends from the celery and put them in a baggie, freeze them, and when you get a good enough amount, then you can use it to either make more chicken stock or vegetable stock or beef stock. Don't let it go to waste. Oh, this is going to be good. Uh-oh, no mushroom left behind. Oh, it's smelling good. Just easier to do it that way. Now I'm going to grab my sage. I like to use rubbed sage. To me it just tastes so much better. And you can't tell I like rubbed sage. Oh. I just want to get just a little bit in there. That was about a tablespoon. Once I start mixing the dressing up, I'll taste it, and then I'll add sage then if it needs it. There's a good chance it's going to need it. Alright, I'm going to put the lid on it, let it cook for a little while, and I'll bring y'all back here in a bit. Okay, everything's ready to go. I wanted to show you the beautiful. I had to run and do an errand this morning for family. Look at my new, let's see. Come on, focus. My new beautiful. It's not going to focus. I'll show it in another video. Old antique fillet knife. American made. Back when they actually made things here in America that were really good. I found that at something told me to stop at the flea market, and this little bitty flea market, I did. Got that for $7. I was about beside myself. Alright, now that these are ready and done, I'm going to add my pulled chicken. Now, for those who have never made chicken and dressing before, please make sure you don't get any of the bones in your chicken, and definitely none of the cartilage, or what we call down here in the South. Oh God, that done went blank. I'll think of it here in a minute. But going to bring this up to heat. I'm probably going to add gristle. Gristle, that's the magic word. Man, been too busy. I'm going to add a little more juice or chicken stock. Make sure that there's plenty to work with. And I'll bring you back here in just a little bit. Okay, while the chicken's heating up, I'm going to start breaking up the cornbread. Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. And you want to just break it up. You don't want too big of pieces, but you don't want it to just get so tiny. You want a few little big, well, this is what I consider big pieces. Nothing really big. Good old yellow cornmeal or cornbread. I like white, but I so much more prefer my yellow cornbread. And always quality control. I hope that's good. this is the only cornbread recipe I've made my entire life. And yes, I'll have the recipe in the description box below. The single batch recipe. And the good thing about this one, you can double, triple, quadruple it, and it'll still turn out fine. Of course, I forgot to grab a jar of my homemade cranberry sauce or cranberry relish. So I've got 2 cans. I know. I got 2 cans of cranberry sauce in the refrigerator, getting chilled. I have the old jailed kind, which is basically none but cranberry jelly. And for me, I have the whole berry because I like to know that I'm eating cranberries. Like I said, this is a labor of love, making my chicken and dressing. But I don't get to make it very often, so it's a big ordeal. And yes, I'm just going to reuse the pan that I made the cornbread in, because there's no need in dirtying up other pans. It's going to be a wonderful Sunday dinner. Y'all will see this recipe or this video tomorrow, but we're eating it today. And that's about a tablespoon and a half of rubbed sage. We're about to wind down. Oh, and I have my oven preheating to 350. I'm going to cut this up a little bit. This is going to be good. The chicken, unfortunately, is falling apart a little more, but oh well. It's going to be in there. And as soon as this finishes heating back up, I'll bring you back. See you after a while. Okay, it's time to get busy now. I'm going to make sure I scoop liquid and the other goodies in here. Okay, now I'm going to stir it. Oh, this smells so good. And you want to make sure that you get it mixed real well. Go from the top to the bottom and bring it up. Let me get me a spoon. Because it's very important that you taste it. It needs more sage, definitely. That's about, close to 2 tablespoons. And you want to make sure you get it good and mixed in. Now I'm kind of smelling the sage. And as you can see, it's definitely kitchen sink chicken and dressing. Oh, what the heck, I'm going to put it all in there. Definitely going to be good and moist. And of course, as it bakes, the liquid will evaporate out. I have to be careful. I'm going to be full before dinner time. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. If it needs more, it can be added at the table. It's not too over moist. It is moist though. But like I said, it'll evaporate out. Now we're there. Whoop, don't knock the coffee over. And you're going to have your pan on a cookie sheet, because this pan, excuse me just a minute. Okay, you're going to have to definitely have your pan on a cookie sheet, because there is no way this flimsy pan is going to withstand this weight. going to be just a little more moist than I usually make it, but it's going to be fine. Going to bake in the oven. Just keep an eye on it because you don't want it to dry out too much. Get any air pockets out. Oh, that's pretty. Now I'm going to bake it for a while without aluminum foil on it. That way some of the moisture will evaporate out. And it'll give it a nice little, it'll crisp up the top some. Now I'll have the recipe for the cornbread in the description box below, and a general basis of the ingredients I used. But as for the exact amount of carrots and celery and stuff, it's up to you what you want to use. Everything's always optional. If you wanted to, you could throw English peas in here. So many things. Oh, that's beautiful. And I got enough. I'm probably going to do some little loaf pans full. I have plenty of loaf pans over there. But is that not beautiful? And that's what I call kitchen sink chicken and dressing. And I'll probably let it cook in the oven for everything to meld together. About an hour. 45 minutes, maybe an hour. But that'll give it a little bit more time to get a nice little crust on top. And if you start noticing that it's getting a little more crusty than you want, just cover it with aluminum foil. Bring it out and cover it with the aluminum foil. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be heavy. That's why I call it kitchen sink chicken dressing. Yep, that's heavy. Oh, Lord. Alright. Well, I'm going to get my little loaf pan. Now, if you wanted to, you could go on ahead and instead of doing the big pan like I did, you can just do a whole bunch of little loaf pans. Especially if you're single. You can also get the mini loaf pans. Do the bake on it. Let it cool down and freeze them. And just let it, when you get ready to eat some, just let it defrost in your fridge and just bake it in your oven until it's good and hot. And I got a hot mess to clean up. And I got plenty of chicken stock for the gravy, and I'll have enough to, I would say can it up, but that's not enough to run a canner for. But I can bag it up or container it up and freeze it for further use or later use, or when I get a whole bunch of chicken bones, add that to the bone stock. Because I don't make bone broth, I make bone stock. like I said, if you use the mini bread pans, this would be a wonderful dinner for a single person. Or something like this would be great gifts to take. Like one pan would be a great gift to take for, or the mini pans, sick elderly. Because as many nutrients is in this chicken and dressing, it'll definitely make them feel better in no time. Alright, now I'm going to let that cook. Oh my gracious. Let that cook. I'm going to keep an eye on it and let it cook for about, I'll check on it at 30 minutes. Make sure that it's getting a nice little crust on it. And if it's not getting a crust yet, I'm just going to let it keep on going for at least an hour. And I'll bring you back here after a while when I get ready to make the homemade gravy. See you after a while. Okay, it's time to get the gravy started. I'm going to make a roux first, so I'm going to use a stick of butter. I have my chicken stock heating up. Want to melt my butter. Sorry about the dishwasher going in the background, but I had to catch up on dishes. Melt my butter, and then I'm going to work on my roux. Which a roux is butter and all-purpose flour. And you definitely want your chicken stock to be warm. And if you had chicken fat, you could have used that as well, melted that down. I'm going to add my flour. And you want to make sure that the flour gets good and cooked. There's nothing worse than gravy made out of flour and it still tastes like flour. make sure that you stir it enough because you don't want your flour to burn, or your roux, I mean. You want to get some color on it. Kind of the roux I like is I can either let it get really dark, not burnt, but dark, or let it get to the color of peanut butter. You want to make sure there's no lumps in it. You don't want no lumpy gravy. Starting to change a really pretty color now. This is when you have to start watching it. Because if you burn your roux, you have to start all over again. Let me zoom it in a little bit so y'all can see a little better. There we go. Add my stock. And that's exactly what you want to hear. Now once the gravy is done, then I'll test it to see if it needs any seasoning. When you see your gravy's glossy, means it's got good fat content. You don't want it too fat, but you want it to have some fat in it. Good, pretty smooth gravy, no lumps. Making homemade gravy is the easiest can be. I have two other gravies that I absolutely love. Chocolate gravy, yes, chocolate gravy, and tomato gravy. Then I got to make the cream potatoes. We're having garlic cream potatoes, chicken and dressing, and this amazing gravy. Now, if you notice that you haven't added enough stock and your gravy's too thick, you can just add more stock to it and just hope that your pot's big enough. And I have leftover chicken stock, so I will be freezing it. Once it cools off, which I need to get it over here so it can cool off, I'll baggie it up and put it in the freezer. course, this will continue to thicken up because I don't want more watery gravy. But that's a pretty smooth as silk gravy. Nothing beats homemade gravy from scratch. Beautiful, nice color. Means your flour got cooked enough. And of course, as it sets, it's going to thicken up. When you notice that it's starting to thicken up, go and cut your, I'm used to saying flame, but go and cut your eye off. You want to make sure that you don't let your gravy burn. The only ones that's going to enjoy the burnt gravy are the dogs. Get good and thick. And tonight, we're going to have one amazing dinner. And I am calling that gravy done. It's going to cook for a little bit longer. But look how pretty and dark brown that is. And that's going to, I've got to taste it, check it for seasoning. And I will bring you back when I plate up dinner tonight. See you after a while. Okay, I am happy as can be. It is finally time to plate dinner up. Look at that beautiful dressing. I don't know how good you'll be able to see. But look how beautiful that dressing is. Turned out beautiful. Roasted garlic cream potatoes. Some homemade chicken gravy. Put my plate here. And because I forgot to grab my own, this will work just fine. Some whole berry cranberry sauce. That right there is one amazing dinner. Well, I'm fixing to get off here because I have earned this dinner and I am looking forward to eating. I hope this video encourages you to make your own chicken and dressing. You can omit some of the ingredients, you can add more to it. Make it your own. And like I said, that pan of chicken dressing we're going to be eating for a while, and it freezes wonderfully. Also, we're going to definitely enjoy ourselves. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I have. Even though it's been a labor of love, it's an amazing dinner. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. May you each be blessed and everyone take care.